Hi everyone, and welcome to blog 55 of Tackle the Feelings Before the Behavior. And today's blog is called When You Just Can't Stop Being Reactive. And this blog is going to be just me talking a little bit about reactivity, but it is going to be helpful for parents or teachers. But I think everyone will get a bit out of this if you aren't a parent or not working with kids. Reactivity happens to us all. So before I begin, just a little update. The reason it's taken so long for me to get another video out is that I'm back in South Africa and not in the city. I'm out in the bush, not right now, but out in the safari, or what we call the game reserve, out in the bush. And I'm busy filling in for a few months teaching at a little school there which has just a few students, and it's an incredible challenge and one that I don't think I was fully equipped for. And so I'm dealing with a lot of behaviors and everything going on there, but also trying to get the curriculum and catch the kids up and make sure they're being nurtured academically as well as mentally and physically and emotionally. So this blog comes off the back of my own experience. I've been feeling really reactive. And when I say reactive, I mean you just can't seem to control your outbursts, your frustrations, your annoyances, and you feel like you don't have much control. And you lose your cool and you don't see things very clearly, and it's a really difficult place to be in, and one that working with a lot of parents and families and just being a human being, I see happens to us all. Very few people are able to just stay grounded, especially when it comes to looking after kids and being around children or being in highly charged relationships where there are a lot of emotions, where your time is being spent and you don't get much time for yourself. So often we find this with parenting or teaching, where you just don't have that patience, where they annoy you, where you mentally and emotionally almost checking out a little bit, and you trying to put on a face, but a lot of the time we find ourselves raising our voice, shouting, wanting to punish, all of that type of thing, because it's so frustrating. And a lot of what I find, and even with myself, because what happened was I thought, oh, fine, I work with behaviors all the time. I've heard that these kids sort of are really badly behaved and it's very difficult to gain control at the school. But I wasn't prepared for how I would feel in this. And all the skills in the world can't prepare you if you yourself are not in a grounded place, if you yourself aren't keeping your own feelings and emotions in check. And that's what I found, and I wanted to make this blog because, like most of my blogs, it comes from my own personal experience or experience working with people who are going through this at the time, or in most situations, both of those. So my own experience with children really does come into it, and I'm human, and when I learn something or I'm in the process of learning something, I really like to share it because I think it's important. And so for a few days I really went down this shame spiral and a lot of guilt and shame around not being able to control myself, feeling like I wasn't giving the kids the emotional regulation and the love that they needed. I could see objectively, being a therapist, I could see why the children were behaving that way, but that didn't matter. And a lot of the times as parents, you will see, you know that they're just needing your attention. They're feeling insecure, and the more reactive you are, the worse it gets. So the more you're shouting, the more inconsistent you are. Sometimes you can handle them, sometimes you can't. They feel unsafe, or people in your life feel unsafe emotionally, which means they're trying to scramble for connection, for approval, for something from you which you feel unable to give. And the more they try, the more you're feeling like you need to pull away and back off and leave me alone. I've told you a million times, why are my needs not being met? And it's very difficult when you're not meeting your own needs to meet the needs of others, whether it's children, whether it's adults. And we feel as adults, as parents, as teachers, we need to be putting our stuff aside and being able to be the perfect parent, teacher, whatever, all the time. And we don't give much room for mistakes, for those feelings that come up for us, for that overwhelm. And we get into this shame spiral, which takes a lot of mental energy. It takes a lot of physical energy And emotionally, it is so draining. And the more you get that way, the more overwhelmed you get. And I've made a blog on overwhelm, parent overwhelm, way back. And I talk about the sponge analogy, where we are like sponges, and imagine stress and stimulation and everything going on for us is water. And when we reach saturation point, because we can take on a lot, we hold a lot of information as human beings, we take on so much. But when we get to that level where we're saturated, where our sponge is full of water, even the smallest little drop of water is going to get to us. Even the smallest little stimulation is going to feel enormous, because we simply can't hold much more. And that's why I even have a whole playlist on parent well-being, because it's really, really important to look after yourself, to not lose yourself in the process of parenting, as in teachers, in a relationship, in friendships, whatever. It's important to always work towards your own needs and your own interests and who you are, and not to lose yourself. Because when we start to lose ourselves, when we start losing that connection to our objective selves, to our higher selves, the part of us that's more objective, more rational, can see past all the things happening to us in day-to-day life, and can really just put things rationally in perspective. Our brains don't work rationally when we're in fear, when we're in anger and frustration. We become really irrational. We get really blaming, and we get judgmental, and we get like things are repelling to us. We get repelled by things. We get this insatiable need to just be away from it all. We get over it. We feel over it. And it's that feeling that creates this real abrasiveness that comes with reactivity. It's almost, you watch parents, I watched myself, it's a desperation. Please listen, please just give me a minute. I can't take much more. And that is human. And that is your body and your mind and your emotions telling you that it's time you looked after yourself and nurtured yourself, and really asked yourself, what is going on for me? Because I can't do anything until I acknowledge what's going on for me as a person. And me personally, I really did need space. I've moved out of Australia into South Africa. Lots has been going on for me. I'm trying to process and work through a lot of my own stuff, and going straight into teaching, barely got over my jet lag, and then dealing with this, and then feeling a low self-esteem almost, that I can't do this, and that feeling of what's wrong with me, if other people can do it, other people are so much better, and it's that shame. And you get into that spiral of guilt and shame, and it's very hard to break out of it. And the best thing to do, number one, is to just acknowledge that. Acknowledge where you're at. Acknowledge what you need. You might not always be able, especially as parents, to get what you need. I myself am still trying to get that space. But I'm finding other ways in order to be with myself and go within and acknowledge that. And it was really helpful to have other people say, you're actually doing a good job. Things have improved. It just looks slow. Or to make small improvements. And to work out, how can I do things a little bit better each day? How can I nurture myself? Sorry. How can I take that time for myself? Is it that I stay up a little bit later, put in my headphones, listen to some meditative music or whatever? Is it that I journal early in the morning or when I have a minute? Is it that I make use of the TV just once or twice to just give myself that break, to have a bit, close my eyes or whatever? Maybe you can't get that. Do you need help? Do you need support from a friend, a family member? Where can you get that help for yourself? If you don't have those connections and all of that, journaling, writing everything down, writing your feelings, I just check in. What am I feeling? And don't feel guilty about putting your anger down, even if you're writing that about a child. It doesn't matter what you're saying. You're getting it out. You need to get out. You need to wring out your sponge and release some stress so you have more capacity to take more in. And however that looks, and you are an intelligent person, in your own way, you will know what tools you need And we always make excuses, and I realize with parents, they almost need me to say, I prescribe you some time to do something nice for yourself, to watch your soap opera, to do what you need to do. That is important. It sounds like it's not important, that you're indulging. You're not indulging. You will be a better parent, person, teacher, partner for taking that time out, for doing something nice for yourself, for remembering who you were before you were a mother, before you were a father or a brother, sister, whatever. Who are you? What are your interests? Outside of your roles, what do you like in life? And what do you want? Don't give up on your dreams so that you can sacrifice yourself for your kids or for your job or for anything, because you won't be happy. And when you're not happy, the people around you can't be happy either. Not with you, because nobody wants to feel like they're a burden to you. Nobody, not even little kids, even the smallest kids whose brains aren't fully developed yet. That's even worse, because they're feeling that emotional distancing more than ever. Kids need to feel connected to you. So it's really, really important that you connect yourself first. Put that oxygen mask on yourself before you do it for your kids. In an aeroplane, it's the same emotionally and mentally for yourself. It's really good to nurture your own needs first. Being reactive is a sign. It comes from the core emotion, fear. It's a sign that you need to take some time out for yourself. And that is what I'm trying to do, and I don't always get it, so it's constantly being creative and being a bit selfish sometimes. Doing a few cheats and tricks as a parent, whatever you need to do, and then come back to it. And if you've made a mistake, you can say sorry and you can repair it. You can always say to people or kids, I'm feeling a little stressed. I'm having a bad day. That shows them that we don't have to be perfect human beings all the time. So I hope that's been helpful, and cut yourself some slack. You deserve it. You're doing a great job. Have a great week. Bye.